Hi,
We'll
this
get
is
it.
Jim from Vaudevisuals. I'm here with Fatima, Sambo, Schoenfelder, who's performing in the Puppets Come Home series coming up soon at the Brooklyn Commons, directed by Brendan Schweda. And it's a puppet show. It's a puppet show for adults and children and people of all ages that enjoy creative, enterprising performances.
Yes.
So tell me about your getting into puppetry. What brought you to the puppetry world?
Well, not too long ago, but about 2015, I was feeling the need to be a puppeteer. I've always liked puppetry. I've always been a fan of puppetry, but I never really thought about doing puppetry until about that time frame. And so I was like, how can I get into puppetry? Like, what do I do? So I started looking online, looking for jobs, and I happened to come upon the nyc.gov website, and they had job listings under arts. So I said, okay, let's see what's under arts. And I'm here typing, and puppetry popped up. And I'm like, oh, this is good. So I looked at the application, I checked out the requirements. I was like, I could do that. And I showed the application to my husband and to my mom. And it was almost like a comical moment because they were like, you could do that, not having done it before, but you could do that. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. So I went for what I thought was an interview in about like October, November of 2015. And it happened to be an audition at the Swedish Cottage. And I walk in, it was raining like crazy that day. I got lost through the ramble in Central Park, didn't know where I was going, but I found my way. So I get to the theater, and it was raining outside, and there's like three people in the theater waiting for me. And I'm like, oh, hi, I'm here for my interview. And I find out then and there that it was an audition.
Mm.
So I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it makes sense because it's a puppet position, but I wasn't thinking, I'm going to actually work with a puppet for, for my interview. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. So Bruce Cannon, who's the artistic director of the Swedish Cottage, he so gracefully and graciously gave me a puppet to practice with. And it's the puppet that we actually now use for our shows. At the end of the show, we come out and do a demonstration. But I didn't know that then. And so I got the chance to work with Nickadoo, which is the marionette puppet that we have, for about 10 minutes before we even like had the audition. And I'm like, okay. He shows me some of the ropes, like this is your leg bar, this is the foot bar, this is the hamstring, this is the tail string. And I'm like, okay, just trying to like remember everything and just stay calm and cool and just try to do this right. But I went into the audition. I auditioned in front of three people, and it was it was like the coolest thing. I didn't have an expectation. I just knew that I was having fun. And I really appreciated the opportunity to even be there to do this thing. I'm like, look at me, like I'm doing this. Like this is me talking to myself. Like this is me, I'm doing this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm loving it. And I just felt really good about it. And I remember I had to sing a song for the audition as well. I sang a Harry Connick Jr. song. I can't remember which one. I love Harry Connick Jr. And yeah, I sang it while performing with the puppet. He had to sit down, he had to walk, he had to run, he had to jump. And I did my best. And after the audition, I, thanked everybody. I walked out of the cottage and I was like, man, that was so good. Like to myself, like if I get this, great. If I don't get it, at least I tried it and I had fun. So then about maybe like a month or so later, I got the phone call from Bruce Cannon. Hey, Fatima, would you like to join us at the Swedish Cottage? And I was like, yeah. And then I started working there on January 6th, 2020, no, 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've been
So,
performing there for quite a long now.
yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, we've been
So
good.
you've explored different kinds of puppetry there, or is it just
Mainly marionettes.
Marionettes, yeah.
Yeah, and we do hand and rod there too, occasionally, but it's mainly marionettes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
And you brought a puppet with you today.
I did.
Let's see what he looks like.
Okay. Now, I should have actually brought a marionette puppet, but so this is my puppet, and this is actually a puppet that I'm going to use on the 13th at the Brooklyn Comets performance. And this is Danny the Dandelion, and he is based on my children's book called The Dandelion's Wish. And it's a story about a dandelion, Danny, who looks a little perplexed. And his biggest dream is to travel, to see the world. But because he's a plant, some might even call him a weed, he's stuck in the ground, so he can't really get around. But with the help of a little friend, he's able to accomplish some of his biggest dreams.
Oh, what a great story.
Thank you.
That's
Yep.
lovely.
So I made this, and
And what material is it made from?
yeah, so I use foam,
Ah.
craft foam. I love foam. It cuts like butter. I just love it.
Nice.
And then I used felt.
Felt for the legs and the arms.
Yeah, for the arms.
Nice.
And then I have this almost like a mitten style pocket here that allows for me to
Oh, nice.
move the arms while still being able to control the head.
That's really cool.
And this is the first puppet, the first true puppet I've ever built.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm very grateful for Kathy Shaw, who back in December of 2022, I was at the Puppetry Guild, the New York Puppetry Guild meeting on Pagogny. And she approached me and she asked me, hey, like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a puppeteer. I work at the Swedish Cottage with Bruce. And she was like, oh, okay, good. And we just kind of we started talking, and she asked me, like, do I have any, like, puppets of my own or anything like that? And I was like, well, I have a children's book that I'm working on. And so I showed her the pictures off of my little phone, and she was like I could see like the light going off on her head, and she was like, do you think you could make a show out of this by February so you could perform it at my puppet slam? And I was like, yeah, sure, I could do it. I was like, I've never made a puppet. I'm like, yeah, sure, I could do it, So all of December, January, I worked like crazy putting together the show. Luckily, I had the story already,
Nice.
which was based on a children's book.
Right.
But yeah, I did all of this.
Nothing like a
and
challenge, right?
It was a good challenge.
Good challenge.
And ever since, I would have to say it's been a beautiful ride.
Nice.
Like, she got me started on it. She believed that I can do it, and now I've got Danny.
Now you got it.
Yeah.
That's great. And you'll be performing this show coming up soon.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Fatima.
Yeah.
Have a great show. I'll see you there.